What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Thanos4262. I know I talk a lot about not wanting to be famous. I don't want the pressure it brings. I don't want the level of heartache and stress it brings. At the same time, I was listening to my Chem, and I realized, not even realized, I was just kind of thinking while listening and singing my heart out, that they have achieved fame in a way very few people have. And I don't mean that their name is recognized in almost every household. I mean this idea that 10 years after the last album, they can go on tour again and sell out almost every concert. Um, that Gerard can't walk down the street and without getting recognized. That most of them can't walk down the street without getting recognized. And I think that kind of life definitely excites me. It doesn't. It scares me. And I know realistically the odds of me getting famous, particularly off of videos that aren't well edited, videos that I don't honestly put a lot of effort into, is slim to none. Um, but I don't know. At the same time, it's an interesting concept, to say the least, to kind of mentally explore. Um, and I think I've talked about the reasons I put these videos out. That my goal ultimately isn't to get famous. It's to know that I have resources out there that have helped me in the past. Um, that one person clicking on the video in a bad moment, um, they can click and know, okay, this guy gets it. And I'm not always this calm person. I try to be. I do my best to be. Where'd my cat go? But it's not always there. Um, and I fuck up a lot of things. Um, and I recognize that. Going back to my depression page, I've gotten a lot handed to me in life. And parts of life parts of life were handed me on a silver platter, and other parts of life I'd had to take at gunpoint. Um, and I think that that is true for a lot of people. That's not just true for me. Um, and I think that there's something there. My biggest struggles with myself internally is that I always want to help. Doesn't matter where I'm at in life, doesn't matter what headspace I'm in. If you call me, if you're one of my homies and you need help, cool. Call me, hit me up anytime, doesn't matter. I'm there. And I ascribe myself to Atlas a lot. And again, I'm just gonna pull up the fucking server. I think that this You like mythology so much because you relate to the tales. Think of Atlas. Who else would carry the world on their shoulders? Certainly you. You feel like him because you don't know how to set down burdens. I haven't left fight or flight. I haven't left the streets. I haven't left foster care. Physically, I have. I mean, shit, I'm 19 yet now. And I had this realization the other day that part of the reason I like taking trips so much is because that's how I grew up. I grew up moving. I never knew where I was going to be the next year, the next month. Whether that was going to be in the same neighborhood or a neighborhood 60 miles away. And I've grown comfortable with that lifestyle. And I don't necessarily know how to feel about it. And I leave a lot of people undelivered, particularly on Snap, which is the main way people contact me. And I think part of the reason I do it is a reminder that they're there. I'm a very forgetful person. I struggle a lot with remembering, and it's not for lack of trying. It's if it's not immediately in front of me, if it's not, I'm not actively doing it, I'm going to forget about it. And it's the same way with snaps. There's been times where I go send streaks and then miss a few people because I like 30 fucking snaps to open, and bada bing, bada boom, suddenly there's like it took me a minute. Excuse me. It like takes me a couple minutes to scroll through, and by the time that I reach that last snap and I double click their name, send a streak out, it misses a couple people because it's taken a minute, 2 minutes for me to click through all of that. So I try to individualize snaps. And that's something I've kind of been doing for a while now. Just this idea that people care about me, people want me in their life, willingly want to talk to me, blows my mind every day. It doesn't matter who it is. Could be subtle. Could be my best friend. And it's something that honestly kind of hurts to know. Just this idea that I matter to other people, you know? It's not an easy feeling. It's something some people take for granted. And some of those people I don't talk to enough. I don't call, I don't reach out. Because I'm notoriously bad at that. But I don't remember where we were at in the last stories of a foster. And this time, rather than GTA gameplay, you're gonna have to just stick with me talking. Um, so for those of you unaware, I spent 10 years in foster care. And those 10 years have done a number. Where is my. I've done a number on my mental health, and up until within the last 2 years, had done a number in my physical health. And I kind of want to go over some group home stories today, because that's just what I'm in the mood to talk about. So, I was put back in placement after getting adopted to a place called the farm. It was called the farm because we had ducks, we had goats, we had an alpaca, we had horses. It was on like 150, 200 acres in the middle, like right next to town. And I'd been going there for during the day for like therapy for that kind of stuff. But I wasn't told anything when I got put into placement, and that was hard. I had no contact with my fathers. This was all like right at the tail or kickstart of fucking COVID, by the way. So, like mentally, I already wasn't in a great place. And again, no script. Like, here's my main monitor. No script, nothing. Just like if I'm staring off at this camera, it's because void. And that was hard. Uh, that was a no contact with my adoptive parents. I was there for about 3 months, 2 months, 2-3 months, somewhere in there. And during those 2 months, I considered running away from that place every day. Every day, without fail. Every single fucking day, I considered climbing out a window, jumping down. I never did it. Because when you're in a group home, you run away, it's charges. I didn't want charges. I still don't want charges. It's not for fear of jails don't scare me. Prison doesn't scare me. It's what comes after. Because I've seen it ruin people's lives. I've seen it completely just derail a life, and it's not something I've ever wanted to go through. My life's been derailed enough as is. But I met some friends there, and it was also my first introduction to somebody with split personalities. And they were very understanding, they were very polite about all of it. It's a hard disorder to understand from an outside perspective. It's something I think I've struggled with. Not that I have felt that I've struggled with. I don't know if I actually have. Despite how poor my memory is, I do tend to remember most of what goes on. And I think that this whole idea of so sorry. Not being able to remember is hurtful. But going back to the story, they were and are one of the nicest people I've ever met. Um, and um, it was also that group home. The 2 months I was there was also the source of some of the worst experiences I've had while in placement. Um, one of the girls, it was a dual sex group home, or both sex group home, so we had men and women. Men were upstairs, girls were downstairs, or boys were upstairs, girls were downstairs. That is how it worked. And so, with that comes dating. It's a mental health institution. We're all fucked up in some way. But with that comes dating. And with dating comes trauma. Um, and even back then, I was a lot weirder than I am now. I struggled a lot more with social cues. I was sure of who I was and who I wanted to be, I wasn't sure my place in the world. And I think that led to several issues. And so we were all hanging out downstairs one day, and one of the girls had an air because she couldn't have razors due to suicidal ideation. Um, she couldn't have shoelaces, like the whole 9 yards. Like, she couldn't have them because of how bad her depression was. And I think, or I remember just hanging on one day, and I thought that to be friends with somebody you had to buy it. Um, and or earn it in some kind of way. Earn respect, or not respect, but earn people's friendship. Whether that be through money or doing stupid things, or just like that was my grasp of how friendship worked, is that I had to buy it. That friendship was merely another thing that money could buy, and money got you. And so we were all hanging out on the couch, or on the couch is just downstairs in the living room. Staff were off in the office, and she's like, we were playing Truth or Dare. I've always been really bad at Truth or Dare. For one, a lot of Truth or Dare is sexual. I'm not a very sexual person in nature. The idea doesn't disgust me, but it's more pleasure in my eyes. I don't feel the need to reproduce. I don't want to reproduce due to the mental health issues I face that I know are genetic, and due to other issues that I know are genetic that I don't feel is fair to put onto another generation, to put onto my kids. So I it's just not worth it for me to reproduce, to have kids. Um, and I'm 19, almost 20. So that perspective is probably going to change. I'm going to be real with you. Down the road, I'm probably going to want kids. Right now, no, it doesn't feel fair. But going back again, sorry, to the story. Just this, like, so sexual, like anything sexual related, kind of mystifies me. Um, I've gotten better, but like at the same time, it's still like the things people do for sex, the things people do because they're attracted to somebody, um, is fucking stupid, to say the least. Um, and I'm not saying that I'm not asexual. It is not that I don't have like a sex drive. I have sexual urges. It is just that it is pleasure, and at the end of the day, if I need pleasure, I have a hand. I have other ways to get said pleasure. Um, and that was something that caused a lot of grief in the group home. I mean, shit, I'm almost 20 now and still a virgin. Probably gonna die one. It is what it is. It it's not something I actively pursue. It's not something I care about. Like, I'm not worried about getting my dick wet because, to put it bluntly, my dick wet. Because it's not something that interests me. Um, and it's not like I'm saving myself till marriage. Oh, I'm a good Christian boy. I'm an atheist. I'm going to die an atheist. I like churches disgust me. It is more this idea that sex is just another form of pleasure, and or another way to get pleasure. Um, and part of me feels like that's me trying to intellectualize it to get away from the fact that I do not view myself as attractive, which just blatantly isn't true. I have a horrible ego. You kind of have to be like go out and post videos on the internet thinking people are gonna want to listen to your voice and listen to you talk for 20 plus minutes, 30 plus minutes, um, for any length of time, honestly. But um, just this idea, I guess. But we were all hanging out on the couch, just hanging out, playing Truth or Dare, doing the stupid shit 15, 16-year-olds do. I was the youngest there, by a good couple years. I was 14. They were all like 16, 17. Um, so we were playing Truth or Dare, and my dare, because what kind of pussy takes truth, um, more we didn't want to introspective into our souls and sit there and talk about the feelings we had because we're teenagers and feelings are hard. Um, so she's like, okay, I dare you to put nair in your hair. I'm like, okay, fuck it, let's do it. Um, and so she's like, cool, I'm gonna go act like I'm taking a shower. Um, and then meet you by the bathroom. I'm gonna hand you a bottle of nair, take a shower. After I'm done showering, you go into the bathroom and put it in your hair. I had chemical burns, second degree chemical burns. Um, or first degree, sorry. First degree chemical burns. And because I took a massive fucking glob right on the back of my head. There's still scarring there. Not a lot, not much to the point anymore where, like, I can't grow hair like I can here. This is probably the most facial hair you'll see on me. When I was 4 years old, I smelled a burning marshmallow, because my sister told me it was good luck. And being 4 years old, I believed her, so I stuck that bitch in the fire, pulled it out, looked at it, let it burn for a good second. They were peeps. Sorry, they were peeps, not marshmallows. They were peeps. And sugar's an accelerant. So I stuck that bitch in the fire, pulled it out, looked at it for a second. I have scar tissue on the inside of my nose. I have scar tissue running along all right here. You can. That's the most visible one, and that's but there's scar tissue running along my lip. I can't feel my upper lip. Um, I can't get a piercing here because of how thick the scar tissue is. Um, and but so we got back, or she took a quick 5-10 minute shower, came back, handed me the nair, and I went into the bathroom, took a big old glob all over my hand, splat right on top of my head, let it sit for 10 minutes, started pulling hair away in massive fucking chunks. And for context, my hair grows really fucking thick before it grows long. I've been sitting on about the same length for about 4 months now trying to grow my hair out, and it's only gotten thicker. So, if that tells you anything. I lost, we had to shave my whole head, which kind of pissed me off, but um, and then yeah, I had like first, second degree chemical burns on the crown of my head for about 2 years. Um, my hair grew back, as it does. I mean, yes, Nair is a chemical. Yes, it is not something that should be applied in that heavy of amounts to that small amount of space. And when I say small, I mean like that big, and the glop was like here on my hand, and I just kind of splatted it down, rubbed it in, let it do its magic. Not something I'd recommend. um, but yeah, um, that was definitely something. A couple of months later, I got moved to a separate program, separate group, different group homes, different program, different company. Um, Group homes are run by companies most of the time, in my experience. They are not. The companies themselves don't want what's best for the kids. The staff do their best to work around the rules to make the kids' life not a living hell, in my experiences with that. And so this is the program that I would end up staying with for the next 3 years. I had just turned 15, um, and so I like I got there and I was confident. 6 months, 6 months, and I'm out. I remember telling the house lead that very quickly it became a father figure to me. Somebody that to this day I have a lot of respect for. Um, and but I remember like the first day there, I knew all of the kids. I went to high school with every kid in there, and I already hung out with that group. Um, so I walked in, and it's like, oh shit, we're getting the new kids. You what's good, bro? What's poppin'? Kid that dapped me up my first day ended up spitting in my face, like 2 months later, because he got hit in the head with an Xbox remote and thought it was me. Fights were common. It like you get this. This was a single sex group home, um, that had our three programs, the three girls programs out a city over, and then the center. Um, and the center was an old juvie. They had run the juvie, and then they decommissioned the juvie and stopped using it, and kind of changed directions. And so yeah. But about 3 months in, I kind of realized, okay, I'm gonna be stuck here for a while. Let's make the best of it, and that is where my healing journey, not my healing journey, but the skills that I got and gained through them, that is kind of where it started. Um, and I still definitely had my rough patches. I'm not gonna lie to you and act like I was this, like foster care turned saint kid. I wasn't. I'm still not. But that was the start. Excuse me. Fuck. And so I learned to abide by the rules just enough that staff didn't suspect me. Um, this is when I started smoking pot really heavy, and I learned how to go long enough without it, how to go long enough without a vape. That I could pass a UA and then a day later be smoking, and then I learned how to bypass UAs, and it wasn't hard. You chug Gatorade, you drink a shit ton of water, and then you chug Gatorade, and you eat a lot of food, and you work out, and you go to a sauna. That is it. That will I can give you a whole 5-step routine. First step, drink like a gallon of water a day. Piss as much as possible to get as much of it out of your system as possible. 2, drink Gatorade so that your system, or so that the UA doesn't come back as overhydrated and you have to take it again. 3, go to a sauna. Sweat that shit out. Work out to sweat that shit out and work it out of your system. And I don't look at I I I don't look back on these times necessarily with bad emotion. Um, there was trials. It was hard, definitely. But life's hard, and there are parts of it I wish I could get back. Honestly, um, playing basketball with the boys I lived with day in day out, that I saw day in day out, that I fought with day in day out. Um, Going to work out with them. Us sitting on the roof, lying on the roof, smoking, talking about life, looking deep into our souls and bearing our souls to each other. Um, I remember being, I was 16 now. This was start of junior year. Um, Me and all the boys were home. It was after school. Um, and me and three of the guys, two of the guys were in the kitchen, hanging out. They were eating yogurt. Kind of shoving it in my face, fucking with me. We do that. Like, guys do that. I was not in a great mood, and like instinctively reached out to hit the yogurt because they're shoving it in my fucking face, like, and I'm like, get that the fuck out of here. Smacked it, and spilled it all over his shirt, and he grabbed me and choked me out. Like, he didn't hit me. There was no hitting. Um, he went from very calm, very like good mood to reactive, and I'm gonna kill this motherfucker, because that's what his dad did to him whenever he made a mess. And he let me go right before I passed out, and I went downstairs to like calm myself down. He separated himself, and staff come down to my room. I was one of two boys that had a solo room. That was a privilege to not have to room with anybody else. And staff came down. Asshole staff. We all fucking hated him. His name was Darren, and I'm like, that was his genuine name. And he came up to me 5-10 minutes after this had happened. He's like, "Oh, did somebody get choked out? Poor baby." And I looked at him, I'm like, get the fuck out of my room. Get the fuck out of my group home. And the kid that choked me out came over about 20 minutes later and was like, "Hey, I'm sorry." And like, we sat down and talked. I wasn't mad at him. I was initially, but after I learned why he did it, I understood, and that anger was gone. It wasn't there anymore. It was, okay, you were reacting based on how you were raised. I understand that, because part of the anger was, why the fuck did that happen? I was confused, and with confusion comes anger, particularly in situations of violence. And I've talked to him a couple times since then, since both of us have gotten out. He's a chill guy. He loves his family. He does his best for them, and moved on with his life. But going back to Darren quit 2 days later, because the other staff heard about that. The other staff were fucking pissed, because I immediately went to the float. I'm like, "Hey, can you call so and so, their supervisor, because I need to talk to them and explain to the float what happened." The float was Janice, and I've talked about Janice in a previous video. Janice ended up passing away. She was like a mom to me. I love her to death. Still do. I don't drink, due to alcoholism running in my family. It's not something that interests me. And the one night a year that I break that rule is my birthday. I get shit faced every night, but before I do, What I do is I buy a handle of whiskey, um, and I pour out half of it for every single person I've lost. And I sit there, outside in the cold because I live in Minnesota and I was born in February. And I just sit there and I look up and I think about the past year. I think about myself, how I've grown, and I think about what I want from the future. Um, and I use it for intense self reflection. And then I spend about maybe 10 15 minutes doing that. And then I go get shit faced with my boys. We go drink, we go party, we go do stupid things. Because it's my birthday. I'm not gonna not fucking celebrate, but um, I have tried so hard, so hard to, but okay, sorry. Um, back to. So I go to her. I'm like, hey, Shay just choked me out like an hour ago now. Darren came down to my room 45 minutes, 50 minutes ago, and kind of made fun of me. And can I talk to Suzette? She was the on call that night, so she's like, yeah, give me like 5-10 minutes. Let me explain the situation. Darren quit 2 days later. Um, and part of the reason why was we as a house, because I told every motherfucker in that house, and that was a house of 10 fucking boys, counting me, what happened. And they were like, yeah, no, no, like, no, um, not okay. That does not happen. And so like collectively we were like, he steps foot on here, he's dead. We're gonna beat the fucking shit out of him. There used to be a pool table at that house, and what happened was, um, like 5 years before I was in that house in this program, a bunch of kids got pissed out of staff, grouped up, um, and loaded socks with pool balls and beat the man to an inch of his life. Um, and we were like, we're gonna do that to him, but worse, we are going to kill him if he steps foot here again. Um, and he came back, and collectively we all got up, looked at him, and said, "Get the fuck out. Get the fuck out right now." We would not let him through the door, and the staff that was working dayside, kind of collectively agreed. Yeah, yeah, that's fair. Because the one, there are two rules in a group home. One, the only ones that are allowed to fuck with the kids in the group home are the other kids in the group home. That's it. Like, to this day, if the kid that choked me out hit me up and was like, "Yo, I need help. These boys are like threatening my life," I'd be like, "All right, give me an address, give me a name." Because that's what we do for each other. I don't talk to them anymore. I don't talk to most of them anymore. Some of them are meth heads. But those are still like my boys. Those are still, some of them I spent 2-3 years with. I talk to a couple of them still. And those are still my boys. And the other rule was, you don't talk about family, because you never know what's going on in somebody's life. Those were the two rules we had, and those were true for every new kid that came in, and those were true for every kid that came through our doors. We stick up for our own, and we don't talk about family. We do not insult family. I didn't care so much about the family part, as long as it wasn't mom, as long as it wasn't like my bio family. They could talk shit about my adoptive parents all I want. I didn't care and still don't. They're shitty parents, to say the least. And that's where I'm gonna cut the video today. Drink some water if you haven't. Take a shower. Touch some grass. Eat some food. Take care of yourself. And yeah, have a good day.